The agonizing groans echoed across Samburu Conservation Area, Kenya, piercing the early morning tranquility. The sound came not from humans, but from a massive 4-ton African elephant cow kneeling by the dried riverbank with her enormous frame trembling in distress. Dr. Emily Richardson, a 38-year-old wildlife veterinarian with sun-weathered hands and determined eyes, had just finished emergency surgery on a rhinoceros wounded by poachers. Blood still stained her surgical scrubs as she scrubbed her hands with disinfectant at the mobile field station. Her satellite phone buzzed insistently, cutting through the ambient sounds of the African wilderness. The tense, familiar voice of James Kaprotich, head ranger of the conservation area, crackled through the speaker with unmistakable urgency. A 15-year-old female elephant from the well-known Kamunyak herd was displaying deeply concerning abnormal behavior patterns that had the entire ranger team on high alert. For the past 72 hours, she had completely refused contact with her family herd, wouldn't touch any food offerings, and moved in repetitive circles with increasingly labored, painful steps. Emily immediately recognized these warning signs from her 15 years of specialized experience treating African wildlife. She had witnessed too many African elephants die from mysterious digestive ailments and internal complications. These magnificent animals possess extremely sensitive digestive systems. Their massive stomachs can hold up to 150 kilograms of vegetation and operate continuously for 18 hours daily, making them particularly vulnerable to internal blockages and toxic accumulations. The grueling 90-minute journey over rough rocky terrain brought Emily's dust-covered Land Rover to the remote location where the elephant stood isolated. The massive female stood approximately 200 meters from her worried herd, her enormous frame visibly trembling with pain and exhaustion. Her abdomen appeared abnormally distended and swollen, while her usually thick gray skin looked wrinkled and dehydrated. The typically bright, intelligent small eyes were now cloudy and unfocused, clearly expressing chronic, unrelenting pain that had persisted for days. Emily carefully deployed her portable ultrasound equipment, cutting-edge veterinary technology specifically designed for wildlife field diagnosis that allowed detailed, non-invasive internal examination. The high-resolution screen displayed shocking images that made her gasp audibly within the elephant's vast abdominal cavity. A massive, irregularly shaped, dense object was severely compressing multiple internal organs and completely disrupting normal digestive function. Moving the sensitive ultrasound probe methodically across different angles and positions, Emily discovered another terrifying detail that confirmed her worst fears. This enormous mass wasn't natural organic tissue or a typical intestinal blockage. The internal structure displayed sharp, unnatural edges with strong acoustic reflections, the distinctive characteristics of artificial man-made materials that had no place inside any living creature's body. The critical decision to perform emergency surgical intervention on a 4-ton African elephant in the remote wilderness represented one of the most extreme medical challenges possible in wildlife veterinary medicine. Emily urgently contacted Nairobi's specialized animal rescue team via satellite communication, requesting immediate deployment of specialized surgical equipment, additional qualified personnel, and emergency medical supplies for a procedure that had never been attempted under such conditions. After 6 intense hours of frantic preparation and coordination, a temporary but fully functional surgical site was established directly at the remote location. Anesthesiologist Dr. Michael Foster, a veteran of dangerous wildlife interventions, and specialized surgical nurse Sarah Chen flew from Nairobi by emergency helicopter carrying over 200 kilograms of sophisticated medical equipment, sterile surgical instruments, and life support machinery adapted for megafauna treatment. The first life-threatening challenge involved safely anesthetizing a massive critically ill elephant without causing fatal complications. The required etorphine dosage was precisely calculated based on estimated body weight, but had to be carefully adjusted to account for the patient's severely weakened physical condition. A single calculation error or timing mistake could cause immediate cardiac arrest and certain death. The dart gun containing the carefully measured anesthetic was fired with expert precision into the thick thigh muscle, the area with the greatest muscle mass for optimal drug absorption. Within exactly 8 minutes, the enormous elephant slowly collapsed onto the specially prepared surgical area, her breathing rate dropping from a normal 6 breaths per minute to a dangerously low 4 breaths per minute. Emily and her specialized medical team now had a maximum of 90 crucial minutes to complete the complex surgery before the anesthesia itself became life-threatening. The first surgical incision stretched an impressive 80 centimeters across the elephant's massive abdomen, cutting carefully through 3 centimeters of incredibly thick skin and dense subcutaneous fat layers. Upon opening the vast abdominal cavity with surgical precision, the entire medical team simultaneously gasped in absolute horror at the shocking discovery. The elephant's enormous stomach contained a grotesque massive plastic waste mass weighing nearly 50 kilograms of accumulated human garbage. Hundreds of plastic shopping bags in every conceivable color had somehow fused together over time into a rock-hard, impenetrable mass. Countless plastic bottles, bottle caps, drinking straws, food packaging, and even rubber flip-flops had formed a horrifying artificial tumor that was slowly killing the magnificent animal. Some sharp plastic fragments had actually cut deep into the delicate stomach wall tissues, causing serious internal bleeding and progressive tissue death. The delicate, dangerous process of removing each individual piece of accumulated debris occurred under extreme medical tension and time pressure. Every single plastic fragment may have existed within the elephant's digestive system for months or even years, gradually building into this life-threatening mass. Emily used specialized surgical forceps and medical instruments to carefully separate and extract each foreign object without accidentally puncturing vital organs or causing additional internal damage. At the critical 67-minute mark of the complex surgery, the electronic cardiac monitor suddenly emitted a long, terrifying beep. The elephant's massive heart had stopped beating completely. Sarah Chin immediately injected pure adrenaline directly into the heart muscle, while Dr. Michael performed aggressive external cardiac massage on the enormous chest cavity. Those 30 seconds of cardiac arrest felt like 30 centuries of suspended time until the strong heartbeat finally returned to normal rhythm. After an exhausting 85 minutes of intensive surgical intervention, the final piece of deadly waste was completely removed from the elephant's digestive system. Emily meticulously sutured the damaged stomach wall using bioabsorbable surgical thread, then carefully closed the massive abdominal cavity layer by systematic layer. Naloxone was injected to safely neutralize the dangerous anesthesia. Exactly 12 minutes later, the elephant began slowly moving her enormous head, showing the first encouraging signs of successful recovery from this unprecedented veterinary medical intervention that would forever change wildlife conservation practices and emergency animal medicine protocols worldwide. The first critical 24 hours following the unprecedented surgery represented the most dangerous and uncertain period of the entire treatment process. The elephant, ceremoniously named Amara, meaning immortal, in the local Kiswahili language, lay in the rescue station's specially designed isolation area, closely monitored around the clock by sophisticated infrared cameras, wireless biosensor technology, and a dedicated team of veterinary specialists who maintained constant vigilance. Emily established comprehensive 24-hour monitoring shifts with 3-person teams tracking every vital sign and physiological indicator. Amara's core body temperature fluctuated dangerously and unpredictably from 35.8 degrees to 37.2 degrees during the initial recovery days, indicating her body's struggle to maintain normal metabolic function. The massive 80-centimeter surgical wound was carefully inspected and cleaned every 4 hours to detect the earliest possible signs of infection, tissue necrosis, or healing complications that could prove fatal. The greatest medical challenge wasn't the surgical wound itself, but rather Amara's complete refusal of all food offerings and nutritional supplements. In their natural habitat, healthy African elephants consume between 150 and 300 kilograms of diverse vegetation daily to maintain their enormous body mass and energy requirements. Prolonged nutritional fasting could quickly cause severe weakness, muscle wasting, and irreversible brain damage that would end any hope of successful recovery and return to the wild. Emily developed and implemented innovative psychological nutrition therapy techniques, utilizing familiar acoustic sounds recorded from healthy elephant herds and aromatic scents of fresh vegetation collected from the specific grassland areas where Amara had lived before her illness. Through extensive research, she had discovered that elephants possess remarkable memory capabilities for tastes and smells through the specialized Jacobson's organ, a sophisticated chemical detection structure located within their nasal cavity that processes complex environmental information. Week 2 of the recovery process marked the first significant breakthrough in Amara's gradual healing journey. One morning during routine inspection, Emily discovered that Amara had consumed approximately 2 kilograms of specially selected dry grass during the night, representing the very first food consumption since the life-saving surgery. This encouraging positive sign clearly demonstrated that her severely damaged digestive system was slowly beginning to function normally again, providing hope for continued progress. Physical rehabilitation therapy for a 4-ton elephant required unprecedented medical creativity and innovative treatment approaches. Emily carefully designed progressive movement exercises and therapy protocols, beginning with basic standing and sitting movements, gradually advancing to short supervised walks within controlled areas of the conservation facility. The elephant's powerful hind leg muscles, normally incredibly strong for navigating treacherous natural terrain, including rocky hills and dense vegetation, had become significantly weakened after the prolonged period of illness and post-surgical immobilization. Week 4 brought serious new psychological challenges that threatened to derail the entire recovery process. Amara began displaying repetitive abnormal behaviors, including continuous head-shaking, compulsive trunk movements, and aggressive banging against the walls of her enclosure. Emily recognized these concerning symptoms as clear indicators of post-traumatic stress syndrome, a complex psychological condition commonly observed in wild animals following major medical interventions, captivity experiences, or life-threatening situations. Music therapy proved unexpectedly and remarkably effective in treating Amara's psychological trauma. Through careful research and experimentation, Emily discovered that elephants possess the sophisticated ability to perceive and meaningfully respond to infrasonic sound frequencies below 20 Hz, special acoustic frequencies completely inaudible to human ears but critically important for elephant communication. Playing carefully recorded infrasonic sounds from natural elephant herds helped gradually stabilize Amara's psychological state and reduce her stress-related behaviors. Month 2 of the recovery period marked another important milestone in the comprehensive healing process, Amara's first voluntary human contact since the traumatic medical intervention. Emily positioned herself approximately 5 meters away from the elephant, remaining completely motionless and allowing Amara to make all decisions about potential interaction. The massive elephant slowly, cautiously approached, using her incredibly sensitive trunk to carefully explore and investigate the scent of the dedicated doctor who had literally saved her life through skilled medical intervention. The recovery process was far from linear or predictable, with several serious setbacks that required immediate medical attention. During month 3, Amara developed a dangerous secondary intestinal infection, quite possibly caused by severe gut microbiome destruction, resulting from the massive plastic waste accumulation that had disrupted her digestive system over extended periods. Emily successfully treated this complication using cutting-edge microbiome transplantation therapy utilizing beneficial bacteria collected from healthy wild elephants, an advanced medical technique originally developed for human medicine but carefully adapted for wildlife treatment. Throughout the extended treatment period, Emily conducted detailed scientific analysis of the horrifying waste mass that had been surgically extracted from Amara's stomach. Comprehensive laboratory analysis revealed exactly 347 different individual material pieces originating from 23 different countries, identified through product barcodes, manufacturer labels, and distinctive packaging characteristics. One particularly shocking discovery was a soft drink bottle bearing a production date of 2018, clearly demonstrating that the deadly waste accumulation process in Amara's digestive system had been occurring continuously for at least 4 years. This groundbreaking research opened a terrifying new perspective on the rapidly escalating global environmental waste crisis affecting wildlife populations worldwide. According to comprehensive data compiled by the World Wildlife Fund, approximately 8 million tons of plastic waste materials enter the world's oceans annually, with an estimated 6.3 million tons originating from land-based human activities and reaching marine environments through extensive river systems and coastal dumping. African elephants are particularly vulnerable to plastic ingestion due to their unique feeding habits and natural behaviors. With trunks containing over 40,000 individual muscles providing incredible dexterity and sensitivity, elephants can easily pick up and manipulate objects as small as coins. In increasingly human-encroached natural environments, these magnificent animals often pick up unfamiliar foreign objects and swallow them either from natural curiosity or by mistaking artificial materials for edible vegetation. Emily's extensive investigation revealed deeply disturbing patterns of human waste infiltration into supposedly protected wildlife areas. Tourist camps, local villages, and illegal settlements routinely dumped untreated garbage directly into elephant migration corridors and traditional feeding areas. During extended dry seasons, desperate elephants would dig in these contaminated areas, searching for precious water sources, inevitably ingesting substantial quantities of buried plastic debris along with essential moisture. The massive plastic accumulation extracted from Amara's stomach told a tragic story spanning multiple continents and international trade routes. Bottle fragments bore distinctive labels from major European manufacturers, processed food packaging originated from various Asian companies, and textile remnants carried clear African production markers. This deadly global debris had somehow traveled thousands of miles through complex international supply chains and transportation systems before ultimately ending up concentrated in a single elephant's digestive system. Sophisticated microscopic analysis revealed even more alarming findings about the long-term health impacts of plastic consumption. The plastic pieces had fragmented over time into countless microplastic particles, each measuring less than 5 millimeters in diameter. These microscopic particles had actually integrated into Amara's stomach lining tissues, potentially causing chronic inflammatory responses and serious nutrient absorption interference that had persisted for years before the surgical intervention. Dr. Foster's comprehensive toxicological studies detected concerning concentrations of harmful chemicals in tissue samples collected during surgery. Bisphenol A, BPA, various phthalates, and numerous plastic additives had accumulated significantly in Amara's liver and fatty tissues over extended periods. These dangerous endocrine-disrupting compounds could have caused serious reproductive dysfunction and behavioral changes, potentially explaining her initial social isolation from normal breeding activities within the herd structure. Month 4 brought the first genuinely encouraging news about Amara's physical recovery. She had gained an impressive 180 kilograms, reaching 3.8 tons, and approaching the normal healthy weight range for an adult female African elephant. Comprehensive blood tests clearly showed liver and kidney function returning to completely normal parameters, properly balanced blood proteins, and a fully recovered immune system demonstrating strong resistance to infections and diseases. Emily began implementing Amara's careful reintegration process with her original elephant herd, recognizing this as perhaps the most crucial step in the entire recovery journey. African elephants are highly social animals that live within incredibly complex matriarchal family structures spanning multiple generations. Extended isolation from the protective herd environment can cause permanent psychological damage and complete inability to function normally within elephant society. The innovative reintegration protocol Emily developed represented groundbreaking advancement in wildlife rehabilitation, science, and veterinary medicine. Starting with carefully controlled scent exposure techniques, she gradually introduced Amara to herd pheromones, systematically collected from their daily wallowing sites, feeding areas, and social gathering locations. Elephants communicate extensively through sophisticated chemical signals containing detailed information about individual identity, current health status, emotional states, and social hierarchy positions within the family group. Amara's response to these familiar scents was immediate, dramatic, and profoundly encouraging. Her stress-related behaviors, including repetitive swaying and compulsive trunk movements, decreased significantly when exposed to her birth family's distinctive chemical signatures. This powerful biological recognition system, refined through millions of years of evolutionary development, proved more effective than any human medical intervention in rebuilding her psychological confidence and social stability. The first carefully supervised visual contact occurred in month 5 under strictly controlled conditions designed to minimize stress for both Amara and the herd. Emily positioned concealed observation blinds approximately 500 meters away, allowing completely natural herd movements while continuously monitoring Amara's physiological reactions through sophisticated biometric sensors. Heart rate, breathing patterns, and stress hormones were tracked continuously through minimally invasive telemetry systems specially designed for large wildlife monitoring. The matriarch's cautious approach marked a pivotal moment in Amara's entire recovery journey. At 55 years old, this experienced lead female possessed decades of practical knowledge about sick and injured herd members, having guided her family through droughts, predator attacks, and human conflicts. Her careful assessment would ultimately determine Amara's acceptance back into elephant society or permanent exile from her birth family. The intensive greeting ritual lasted 3 full hours of careful inspection and evaluation. The wise matriarch used her incredibly sensitive trunk to systematically examine every part of Amara's body, paying particular attention to the healed surgical site and any remaining chemical sense from medical treatment. This thorough inspection process allowed her to assess current health status through sophisticated smell touch and subtle behavioral cues completely invisible to human observers, but critically important for elephant social dynamics. Other herd members gradually joined this complex examination process according to established social hierarchies. The secondary matriarch, the primary matriarch's adult daughters, and finally the curious juveniles each performed their own specialized greeting rituals and health assessments. This systematic hierarchical introduction process ensured social stability while allowing Amara to gradually reestablish her appropriate position within the intricate family structure that had existed for generations. Month 6 marked Amara's complete physical integration as she moved freely with the herd, covering impressive distances of 15 to 25 kilometers daily across varied terrain, including rocky outcrops, dense thorn bush, and open grassland areas. Detailed GPS collar data revealed completely normal foraging patterns, enthusiastic participation in traditional dust-bathing rituals, and appropriate defensive responses to environmental stimuli, including aircraft sounds, vehicle approaches, and potential predator warnings. The complex psychological rehabilitation process proved equally challenging as the physical recovery journey. African elephants possess emotional complexity and intelligence levels comparable to higher primates, with extensively documented cases of grief-joy, playfulness, and long-term memory affecting behavioral patterns throughout their 60-70-year lifespans. Amara's medical trauma manifested in persistent hypervigilance around any ground debris and compulsive inspection of potential food sources before consumption. Emily collaborated with leading animal psychologists from Cambridge University to develop specialized behavioral modification protocols specifically designed for traumatized elephants recovering from medical intervention. Counter-conditioning techniques helped Amara learn to associate ground inspection with positive outcomes rather than fearful responses. Systematic desensitization procedures gradually reduced her anxiety responses to unfamiliar objects in her environment while maintaining appropriate caution levels. The remarkable breakthrough came during month 7 when Amara demonstrated protective teaching behavior toward a curious juvenile who had picked up a discarded plastic container near a water source. Instead of panic or stress responses, she carefully removed the dangerous object and gently guided the youngster away from the contaminated area. This sophisticated teaching behavior clearly indicated complete psychological recovery and successful integration of learned survival skills into her natural behavioral repertoire. Month 8 brought extraordinary news that exceeded all medical expectations and veterinary predictions. Routine hormonal monitoring revealed significantly elevated progesterone levels, indicating successful conception. Amara was pregnant with her first calf since recovery. This remarkable biological miracle demonstrated complete recovery, not just physically and psychologically, but reproductively as well. African elephant pregnancies last approximately 22 months, requiring optimal health conditions and minimal stress for successful outcomes. Finally, Amara's remarkable journey from near-death to thriving motherhood demonstrates the incredible resilience of wildlife when provided with appropriate medical support, dedicated care, and comprehensive rehabilitation. Her inspiring story continues motivating conservationists and researchers worldwide in their critical efforts to protect our planet's magnificent endangered wildlife from human-caused environmental destruction and pollution. The pregnancy announcement reverberated through international conservation networks and research institutions worldwide. Amara's case became a powerful symbol of hope and resilience, proving that even severely damaged wildlife could achieve full recovery with proper medical intervention, long-term commitment, and comprehensive rehabilitation protocols developed through scientific innovation and dedicated veterinary care. Emily began documenting comprehensive case studies for the International Elephant Foundation, major veterinary journals, and conservation medicine publications. The detailed medical records from initial diagnosis through successful reproduction provided invaluable data for future wildlife emergency medicine protocols and rehabilitation programs that could save countless animals facing similar environmental threats. The documentation process revealed significant gaps in existing scientific literature regarding emergency intervention for megafauna species, emergency surgery techniques for large mammals, psychological rehabilitation for traumatized wildlife, and reintegration protocols for socially complex species, all required new research frameworks based on Amara's unprecedented case study and the innovative treatment approaches developed during her recovery. Emily's educational campaign targeting plastic pollution gained tremendous momentum through National Geographic documentation and extensive international media coverage. Professional photographers captured shocking images of the 50-kilogram waste mass extracted from Amara's stomach, creating visceral visual evidence that communicated environmental destruction more powerfully than statistics or abstract data alone could achieve. The compelling visual evidence sparked global conversations about consumption patterns, waste management systems, corporate responsibility, and individual environmental choices. Images of colorful plastic fragments arranged by country of origin illustrated how local consumer actions create far-reaching international environmental consequences, spanning continents and affecting wildlife populations thousands of miles away from the original source. Educational outreach programs expanded to include comprehensive school curricula, university lecture series, and public awareness campaigns across multiple continents and diverse educational systems. Emily's presentations skillfully combined advanced medical expertise with passionate conservation advocacy, making complex veterinary concepts accessible to audiences ranging from elementary students to senior policymakers and international environmental leaders. The ripple effects extended far beyond education and awareness campaigns into concrete policy changes and corporate responsibility initiatives. Several major international corporations revised packaging policies after viewing Amara's case documentation and understanding the direct connection between their products and wildlife suffering. Biodegradable alternatives replaced problematic materials, and improved waste management systems were implemented in regions affecting critical wildlife habitats. Legal precedents established through Amara's case influenced environmental litigation strategies worldwide and provided concrete evidence for successful lawsuits. Her detailed medical records became crucial evidence for legal actions against corporations contributing to habitat pollution. These landmark legal victories resulted in substantial financial settlements funding additional conservation programs and stricter environmental regulations. The technological innovations developed for Amara's monitoring and treatment found widespread applications beyond elephant conservation medicine. Remote biosensor technology, non-invasive diagnostic techniques, and specialized wildlife anesthesia protocols improved medical care capabilities for numerous endangered species worldwide, creating lasting benefits for global conservation efforts. Scientific publications from Amara's comprehensive case exceeded 50 peer-reviewed papers across multiple disciplines, including veterinary medicine, conservation biology, environmental toxicology, and animal psychology. These publications significantly advance scientific understanding of human-wildlife interactions, pollution impacts on ecosystem health, and emergency intervention protocols for endangered species. Today, the Amara Conservation Protocol serves as international framework for emergency wildlife intervention. The protocol includes assessment techniques, resource mobilization, surgical guidelines, and rehabilitation strategies implemented by organizations across 6 continents. Ongoing monitoring of Amara and offspring provides data about recovery outcomes and intergenerational effects. This study offers insights into elephant dynamics, learned behaviors, and adaptation strategies, informing conservation worldwide. Dr. Richardson received international awards for her work. However, she emphasized Amara's recovery represented collective effort involving specialist cooperation and sustained commitment over years. 6 years later, Amara thrives with 3 healthy calves. Her careful foraging behavior has been learned by offspring, creating adaptive behaviors, protecting future generations. Amara's legacy extends beyond medical advancement to environmental awareness. Her remarkable survival proves hope remains through intervention.